All right, let's go get to this. Now, I've been talking about actually this for the last couple days, but look, I don't know what you guys think of Sneako. I personally think, look, I've said this before. I don't think you bat 100 like on anything, really, right? There are people who say really stupid things that I don't agree with, that I agree with some other things that they say, right? I think that if it's not everything is black and white. Now, Sneako, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but in this case, I think what he says, there is a lot of truth to that. Before we get into what he says, do y'all have any preconceived notions on Sneako?
Yeah, he's a cuck.
I don't really know who that is.
Okay.
He literally
heard
is the
the name.
definition of a cuck. He watched his girlfriend get fucked.
Oh, well, I agree with Blabs then.
He literally is the definition. And he's not actually all that based. I hate the way that everyone says, oh, he's so based, because he says something logical for a change. Like, can we just go back and say, he said something intelligent, not, so he's so based. Like, that applies to everybody in the world. Like, let's just stop with that. Just be like, oh, good, you said something logical.
You're only based if everything you say is smart. Everything you says is smart.
Well, this was logical.
There you go.
Des, do you have any preconceived notions on Sneako?
He's a character. He's a character. Go ahead, Craig.
Okay. So this was apparently a live stream where Destiny, who is another live streamer, who's like a super political live streamer, his son, I didn't know he had a 14-year-old son, was on. And Sneako was reacting to this. Now, Destiny's son, his 14-year-old son, is over here on the right side. So just kind of pay attention to the way he reacts, the way that he looks, and what he says in particular.
Streamer Destiny's son says Hitler was a great guy.
What would dismantling like Israel look like in your opinion? Like,
I'd say it'd be mass execution of all the high-ranking officers in the military. It'd be mass execution of the...
Okay, so he's saying some pretty crazy things for a 14-year-old. Just pay attention to his mannerisms here as well. I'm actually going to drop this down because we're probably going to get flagged for even just talking about that on having them play it here. But we are reacting to this, so it is what it is. But more than anything, I want you to pay attention to his mannerisms here. Okay, you get the gist. This is a very political thing. Just watch his mannerisms as he's talking here. Okay, and he's saying some pretty hot things for like a 14-year-old kid to say here. And once he stops, then I want to hear what Sneako has to say here, which is something I've never said before. But here we go. Let me go and play this now, okay? Because you heard what he was saying over here. Here we go.
He's shaking a lot, bro. Like, he's shaking a lot. I know what it was like to take 60 milligrams of Adderall at 13, 14, and this is what it looks like. Also, this is a different level of chronically online, like what he's talking about and who he's speaking to. This guy should be playing sports. He should be playing basketball, playing soccer, doing jiu-jitsu or boxing right now. Why is he on a stream with Tyson Hockley talking about Hitler? What, bro? He should not be talking about Hitler on a podcast when he's 14. Like, it's not even his own YouTube channel. This should not be a childhood. No, poor kid. Like, dead ass, bro. I feel for him. I think.
So that's pretty much the idea here. This idea that, I've heard over and over again that, everything is political, right? And that has certainly become a thing over the last few years. But now we're at a point to where you've got a 13 or 14-year-old kid talking about these like super political topics, when in reality, they don't know what they're talking about here. But I do think what Sneako is saying is like, look, what is this kid doing? Like, he should be outside playing with his friends. He should be playing sports. He should be playing video games and playing Mario Kart and things like that. That's what I mean by when I say I don't think Sneako's wrong at all in this instance.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Kids need to be outside more. The screens are really messing them up. It probably started in the 90s. I feel like millennials were like the last age of like where it was normal to go out and play hide and seek and just be outside all summer. Now kids just sit inside and play games and just look at screens, and it's definitely affecting the way they think. And then the parents, you can tell when a kid's talking and it's their parent talking. Like you said, like no 14-year-old has a deep thought like that. An example is my niece years ago, and she was probably about that age. She was talking to me about Black History Month, and she's like, "Yeah, they whitewash it." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And she couldn't explain it to me, but that was her teacher talking. And I'm like, it was so weird. I'm like, "What do you mean by that? Do you even know what whitewashing means?" And she didn't.
Wow. Des, as a mom, like when you see a kid acting like that, 14 years old, literally trembling from the drugs that they're on, and hearing, you know, things that have been planted in his brain from his parents, just how do you feel about that? I mean, I in this instance, I think Sneako is correct.
I mean, I don't have a problem with children talking about politics. I think that, you know, you can learn about politics early and talk to your family about it and have discussions, and that's all great. You know, whatever. I'm not going to make any comment on even what he was saying, but just talking about politics in general. What I have a problem with is putting it online for people who don't know you to see and critique and have that there forever. I think that's a form of child abuse to allow your child to do something like that, because that's, you know, it's one thing to have discussions or with people, you know, and you can entertain and be devil's advocate and learn and that sort of thing. But like that, there's no healthy outcome when you put it up there on the internet. That's a 14-year-old is not equipped to deal with the backlash of something wild that they might say. They're just not. Like, a lot of adults aren't even equipped for that, you know, but certainly not a 14-year-old who's now going to be branded a certain way the rest of his life. So I think that is, yeah, abusive for
Blabs,
on the parents end.
What about you, Blabs?
Oh, no, I agree with everyone, both Wicked and Des. I don't think kids should be on the internet. I mean, when I was 14, we didn't even have all this bullshit streaming stuff. Or, like, we had it, but, like, it wasn't like this, obviously. So we were just, you know, posting stupid selfies on Snapchat or whatever, or going to the park and hanging out. Like, it's so drastically different. And, like, it was only, like, a decade and a half ago, really. So the fact that it's just changed so drastically, I don't even know how, like, this generation's gonna grow up. I really don't, because, like, they're not really children anymore. They're already, like, little baby adults. So it's like, how do they work? How do they function in society? I don't know.
It's something that I know that I'm very conscious of, right? With my kids, 13 and 11-year-old daughters, and just seeing, you know, I feel like there should be a shield from, like, IRL conversations. Like, there's certain things that kids don't need to know about, and the genocide taking place overseas or whatever it may be is not one of those things. Or whitewashing Black History Month. Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
seriously. And I was like, what does that even mean?
And what was and her response was what?
She couldn't answer me, and she was so young. It was just something she heard from her teacher, and I was like, you know,
Parroting. Yeah.
She was parroting, yeah, and she was young, so it's like, I'm not gonna, like, clown her for that, but it's
You should have clowned her.
I should have clowned her. Yeah, well, I asked her. I pushed by asking, because her parents don't do that. And I just kind of pushed her a little bit to, like, explain to me what she meant by that, and she just couldn't. So, like, don't say things. And it might have been a learning moment for her. She hasn't brought anything like that up to me since. This was years ago. But I told her, I'm like, if you don't know what something means, don't push the message. Don't repeat it to people if you don't understand what you're saying. So maybe she learned.
Yeah, well, it's a shame to see a situation like that where this kid he's already lost before he has a chance to get on the road, you know. And I think that's the saddest thing is these kids are all developing, they're all growing, they're all figuring it out. And you know, I had the saying with my daughters. I say, what's the rule? And they know the rule is, in particular, boys are dumb from the ages of 10 to 30, right? They're just dumb, and
you could go higher.
All right. This is just the rule, right? But that can go with boys and girls. Like, girls in particular are stupid. They're way too emotional, you know, when it comes to this, especially as teenagers and such. So these are learning malleable kids, which also goes back to, you know, what you're saying, Wicked, this idea of these teachers kind of propagandizing and this thought process of whitewashing and putting their own little narrative on things like that. It's amazing to see the state that things are in right now. And hopefully things are starting to correct course there. So, Phoenix, you got anything to close that out, buddy?
No, I agree with everyone here, and the new generation actually really scares me. Everything everyone said, I'm echoing. I completely agree, 100%.
There are a lot of
Go ahead.
There's a lot of hope for the new generations too. I just want to put that out there because, like, I do talk a lot about politics with my kids, and they are very smart children too. Like, they are very high IQ. So we were talking about this stuff really, really early on when they were young. I think the difference again is just, I don't think they should be putting stuff out there on video to talk about when they don't fully understand everything. But I think it is good to talk about stuff. And I think there is a rising generation that is really pushing back against all this chaos and craziness in the world. And they are, there is still some hope there. And they've got some really good, smart, good friends too. So don't lose too much hope.
I think you're seeing some
I
really,
agree.
really great parenting in kids, and then there's the complete polar opposite. I'm not finding a lot of middle ground. It's either people completely detached from
Yes.
reality, and then those who are locked in, doing great parenting. The kids look hopeful, but we need a little bit more of that gray. That's what has me nervous.
Yeah.
Well,
It
the
is
gray-
very extreme. I agree.
The gray is filled by teachers who are teaching Wicked's, niece or
communism.
whatever. Right.
Yeah.
No, that's the scary part of it. Someone who is not a communist. Kara Lynn came in with 5 gifted subs to the channel. Thank you very much, Kara. Great to see you. Hopefully all is well. Look forward to having you on the show very, very soon. Hang out with our friends over at Rippaverse. And Vescorbino came in with 10 gifted memberships over on YouTube. How great is that? Thank you guys very much. We did hit our new goal over here.
Oh, I'm going to hit a button. We hit a goal. Here.
Hey, it's Blabs. There she is.
With Wicked's hoodie.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's good stuff. There you go,
love that.
Phoenix.
Blabs is a thug. You saw it here first.
Blabs is a thug.
That's right.
Do you have common sense? Well, if you did, you'd hit the subscribe button right here.